the same way for a long time.
So finally I went ahead and got it done, and it worked out all right.
Can we go back to high school now, please? Your curl. He had a mad hair of curls, or hair.
He had this gorgeous curl hanging down right here.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, he was good looking anyway, you know. But this curl set it off. I was just.
I always said Dad was a mixture of Jerry Lewis and Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
God.
I did, seriously. You could be funny like Jerry Lewis, and you looked like Elvis Presley.
Anyway, one day he came to school later, and the curl was gone. His mother gave him a haircut.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I was so upset. She cut my.
Yeah, but you didn't meet yet. You just met.
Where's that picture
No,
that
we
I
started.
had?
What?
We've got here someplace. We were sitting on the steps in front of the house. They're on Warren Street. And that's when I had that. Still had the same hairdo. I don't know if I was.
I don't know where the picture's at.
Dad, can you turn off that lamp there?
Going into high school yet or not?
Puts a shadow on your face.
But then one day he just walked up to me and wanted to know if I wanted to go on a hayride.
Yeah, I remember that.
Hadn't talked to you other than to ask you about your birthday, and then he wants to go on a hayride with you. What was that think, Dad? What were you thinking?
I have no idea.
How funny.
It just sounded like a good
Apparently
thing
he
to
didn't
do.
know how to approach girls.
Oh, and I never danced.
You never danced?
Every time we'd go to a,
Where'd you learn to dance?
I never did.
You dance now?
No, I just get up there and move around.
Oh,
But in grade school, any little thing that they had, I wouldn't get up and dance. Mom said, well, why don't you get up and dance? I don't know how to dance. Well, you don't know. You're not going to learn how if you don't get up and dance. If the girls would come over and ask me to dance, I wouldn't get up and dance. I'd just sit there and watch everybody else listen to music.
That's funny.
You know,
That's a guy, though.
In
That's
the
a guy
8th grade or
though.
whatever.
Yeah. So then what happened on the hayride?
That's none of your business.
Okay. Whoa. All right, we had a hayride. Then what
I told
happened?
him I'd go with him as long as Sandy could go too, my best friend.
Right.
So we double dated.
Okay. That's cool.
Me and your daddy and Sandy and his best friend.
Jim O'Hearn?
Jim
Yeah,
O'Hearn?
those two didn't click
No,
off
it
at
didn't
all.
work. In fact, I don't have a clue where he is now. We can't find him.
But yeah, he kissed me on the hayride.
First kiss.
Yes, it was.
Wow.
What was the date?
I know it was in what?
Had to be in
It had
October.
to be in the
yeah,
fall,
when
yeah.
they have all the hayrides.
1955
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
or 54.
it's fine. We graduated
So
before.
that picture
This one here?
is in November 55. So that you had just met or started dating then.
Probably, yeah.
Ah.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was it. What's my
Started
record?
a.
What's the matter?
Oh, so tell us about your wedding day.
I don't remember much about that.
We just packed up and went down to the country.
How did you make the date?
Oh, what date?
August 17th. How come you picked it?
No, here's a question.
We were gonna do
How
it in
did you
June.
propose? Or
He
did you?
didn't. He didn't.
No, we just
Because I came along.
decided we were going to get married. We were going to get married in June
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's
postponed it
true.
to August because I didn't graduate. Well, I graduated in June, I think it was. So we
So-
picked the August 17th.
You were in the same grade in high school?
Mm-hmm.
So how come you only graduated in June?
Well, she quit. She
Oh,
only went to
okay.
the 10th grade.
Okay.
She dropped out.
You know, if one of my children came to me and said they want to quit school and then told me why, I would have stomped on their head. Do you know why I quit school?
Why's that?
Math.
Hmm.
Ever since I was little. Put a number in front of me and I get totally confused. I don't know what it is with me and numbers. And one time I was passing a group of kids, I guess they were seniors, and I heard them talking. One boy said that if you don't pass all your credits, they keep you in school at least till you're 20. Then they just kick you out. And I thought, I knew I would never pass math. I knew that. They only pushed me through school to get me through school. The teachers did. Because I just could not get math through my head. And I thought, I am not staying at school till I'm 20. So I quit.
Wow.
And your parents didn't say, never said anything about it.
No.
They didn't
Because
insist you go to
Tata come
school.
from the old country where a female didn't need an education.
Right.
She married a guy and he took care of her and she stayed home. And so why give a girl an education?
Well, he didn't know better, remember?
No, I know he didn't.
He didn't
bless
know
his heart.
better.
You're talking about your grandfather here, right?
Yeah, she called him Tata,
Right.
which is
Tata is dad.
yeah in
Oh,
Dad,
Slovak.
it's, you know what? It's not just dad. It's daddy. I
Daddy.
found out.
In Slovak.
So this is her father.
So this is,
Yes.
so you're talking about your dad.
Tata
Yeah.
is
Okay.
my daddy.
But he was from here though.
He was born here, but he
Yeah,
grew up with
was-
his old
he
country
was raised,
parents in the
on
country.
The European one.
His
He
father
was-
could
he
not
was-
even speak English.
Okay.
He was
So his father didn't like raise him to be an American. His father raised him to be cold-blooded Polish in the Americas.
No, they were Slovaks
Slovaks.
and Hungarians.
Yeah,
Okay.
my father's side was Slovak and German,
Hungarian and German.
Okay.
and my mother's side was Polish.
Okay.
They were both supposed
Oh,
to
I
Purebred.
see. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I see.
Two sets. Like you have
And,
two sets.
Right. So the Kiers were the Slovak, the
Yes.
Slovakians. and-
Yeah.
Okay.
Hungarians.
And the Semenskys were the
Polish, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But I was around the Polish side more. I didn't know. Well,
I was just gonna say, do you want me to go grab my tripod?
Sure.
You can-
Yeah, but can you get the whole room now?
Yeah, you can. You can
Sure.
swivel it back and
Thank
forth.
you.
No, no problem. It's cord.
So first thing I do is scratch my head. That's good.
All right. So we're talking about
where were we?
heritage.
We're talking about you and Grandpa and how you quit school. Why you quit school?
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
So-
but like I said, I went home and I told Mama I wasn't going back to school anymore.
Yeah.
She didn't even ask me why.
So what did you do after that?
Sat and played solitaire waiting for him to come over.
And we talked on the phone forever.
Yeah.
And my family moved from St. Louis out to St. Louis County in St. Anne. And then we didn't actually move. Yeah, we did. But I still stayed at Central for a while,
Okay.
which is a high school that we went to together and went to together. And then I had to transfer to Pattonville High School out in the county. And therefore I didn't get to see her. And I would talk with Dad and try to get him to let me use the car to go out and see her and all this stuff, and he refused. It just got rough, you know. We couldn't see each other, and I think she wanted to just quit seeing me, but I wouldn't let her go. I just kept calling her.
Yeah, I called him one time and told him I didn't want to go with him anymore. Tell him what you did,
I don't remember what I did.
dingbat. The
That's not
car.
what she was gonna
What?
say.
Tell
Oh,
me.
shut up.
I forgot.
Okay.
When your father wouldn't let you have the car, he was
Yeah.
going to walk over.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I forgot
In
that.
wow.
snow.
That's 20 miles.
Yay
or whatever.
deep.
Wow.
And,
Somebody's committed.
Oh, and the weird part of that was that Leonard's teacher, his name was Harold Bay, and here I am in my teens, and he's like your age or a little bit older, or in between the two of us. And he took me outside and talked with me. He said, and Dad and I got into an argument. I had never argued with Dad about anything, but I just was desperate. I had to see your mother. So anyway, he took me outside and talked with me and told me he thought I needed to apologize to Dad. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, all I did was ask him to use his car, and he won't let me. So, you know. So anyway, I don't remember what happened from there, but
I tell you what, I've got his love letters he wrote to me.
Oh,
Are you
geez.
serious?
Yes, I
Oh,
do.
let's get him.
No
Oh.
way.
Oh, he wrote up
That's,
so
that's for
much.
after she's gone.
Oh.
I forgot all about
She'll
that.
probably burn in the minute she knows she's going.
I will tell you one thing. There's one that is one page of nothing but 3 words.
I love you, 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 I love you.
Yeah, I've got his love letters.
So
How
what
many
was
did you
it?
write him?
I'm
What?
sorry, no, go ahead. How many did you write him?
How
Pretty
you
well
trained her?
daily, wasn't it?
I don't know. Couple.
But you wrote it. You didn't keep her. You didn't keep her letters.
It's a male. Males don't do stuff like
How long
that.
did you keep them?
I don't have a clue. I
Okay.
can't remember.
That's funny.
I know one thing though. She could sit down and put her thoughts on paper like nobody I've ever known.
I know.
And she can still do it. She just doesn't do it.
Well, she does once in a while.
It's like we're sitting here talking right now. She can write that word for word, put this up here.
I can't do it.
And I used to, when she'd write me a letter, it's like I'm sitting here talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was beautiful.
So what was it, Grandma, that made you pick her out of the crowd?
I'm sorry.
How did you decide on Grandma?
I don't really know. I just
Well, let's
liked her
put it
looks.
this way. My hair was short.
Yeah.
I wore no makeup at all. All I wore was red, bright red lipstick.
Yep, lipstick.
Was it the modeling school she went to?
Oh,
She
definitely.
carried
It
herself.
had to be the modeling
She
school.
carried
I went to
herself
modeling
so-
It
school.
doesn't surprise me.
Oh.
It was her
I
personality.
learned how to fence.
The things that
I
she
loved to
liked and I
fence.
liked, and we just had
It
a lot
just
of
wasn't
stuff
long
in common.
enough.
Yeah. So you had a lot in common, eh?
Goodness.
Yeah, we liked each other.
Yeah.
But,
Why did now you stopped? Well, not necessarily stopped liking him, but you told him to be away for a minute. Why is that?
I was a normal female.
Yeah.
And I was looking around and seeing, young females, you guys don't understand this, but we fall in love with someone new every month.
Yes.
Young ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
The younger
teenage
you
girl is
are,
very
the
feminine.
more you fall in love. Sometimes it's every week.
And then when you get older and you're not married, it happens a lot too.
And I just saw some other good-looking guys and decided, you know what? I want to see what it's like to go out with somebody else. So, I just wanted, I guess I was ready to test the waters. And there was this whale sitting there.
How close was your wedding when this all happened?
Huh?
How close was your wedding?
This was in the beginning.
This was when we first met.
Beginning?
Well, yeah.
When you were, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Young love.
When you're young and foolish, what else are you going to do? You
That's
know?
true.
Uh,
Wow.
Yep. It just,
So yeah.
One thing led to
just
another.
kept going and going. So.
So you finished school,
hmm
and
I went to night school.
you went to night school.
Yeah, and that's
okay.
when I graduated in '57. I would not have graduated until when? '59.
Yeah, 58 would have been our graduation year.
Yeah.
58?
Yeah. We would have graduated in '58.
We graduated 8th grade in 54.
Yeah.
6, 7, 8, yeah. Huh. Never knew that.
So you took
Yeah.
extra classes so you could get out earlier.
I went to, well, I was working full time and going to school at night.
I see.
I did that for 2 years
Okay.
and cut things down.
What'd you do then? Where'd you work?
Where did I work? Well, my first job was during the summer, 1956, I think. Yeah, 56. It was 55.
6.
56. I went to work for a company called Foster Brothers Manufacturing Company. They made bed springs, inner spring for beds.
Mm-hmm.
It was not. It was actually a bed spring, the old type spring. And I worked there during the summer and then went back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Mom and Dad moved out to St. Anne, well, I had to move out there with them. I wound up going to Pattonville, and that's when I decided I was going to quit and go to work full time, and I was going to get married. So that's another reason I went and got the education quicker than normal, than it would have been normal. And we had the full class graduation, the whole bit.
Yeah, got a copy.
And the weird part there, the graduation night, remember I told you about this? I don't know if you went, I guess you did, didn't you? You went to
No,
one?
I didn't go to your graduation.
You didn't. Okay, anyway,
Or did I?
I can't remember. Remember the old drummer? If you did, you remember the drummer. He looked like Boris Karloff, the actor.
Okay.
He was
Frankenstein.
really old to me at that time. He was a really old guy. And
Alex.
He was hunched over.
yeah, we got a picture of him, just
Yeah.
like that. He played the drums.
Get outta
And we
here.
still got that picture somewhere.
Well, that's fine.
Wow.
And I'll never
Look at
forget
you.
that, but that was in June of '57 when I graduated. Actually, I graduated a year earlier than I would have if I'd have stayed in high school, the regular school. And then I graduated in '57 in June. And I don't know, I wasn't working full-time then, was I? Or was I? Yeah, I was,
Don't
but that's when we
remember.
got married, in August. I was working for Fayette Plum, which makes the plum axe.
Okay.
They actually forge the axes and the hammers and all that good stuff. So I worked there for, I don't even know how long. And then I went into the shipping and receiving industry in different companies, with different companies. And shortly, well, see, I got married while I was working for Plum. That's when we got married.
I
I'm
remember
still
saying
working.
it.
And then after that, I started working in the shipping and receiving areas. And I just kept moving around and wound up working on the freight dock for ABF. And I worked there for, oh gosh, 5 or 6 years, I guess. And then I went to TWA and worked there for 9 years.
What did you do there?
Come here, baby.
I worked in the parts department.
Okay.
I started out on the ramp, busting bags, and all this good stuff, and I transferred to the
Alex.
parts department.
Come on,
Okay.
And really enjoyed that. I'd never been around airplanes,
come on,
but I worked there for 9 years, and it was
Alex.
very interesting. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Mm.
Come on.
So by that time we had 4 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where were you when you had Cheryl? That Cheryl?
Downtown Normandy, Missouri. St. Louis. Normandy,
I
St.
can't
We
Louis.
remember.
lived, no, when she was born, we lived behind
Your
Mom
dad,
and Tata.
yeah.
They had the house that they bought had like a,
It was at the time it was a shed, a storage shed. And
That you guys lived in?
Yeah, he converted it into a little house.
my
was very
father was
good.
a carpenter or
Wow.
anything
Oh,
he
he could
wanted
do
to.
trade,
anything. That
yeah.
man was
Wow.
so intelligent. But he built, the shed was already there,
Uh-huh.
and he petitioned it off and made 2 rooms. He had a kitchen, a bath, and a bedroom.
Mm.
Come on.
And the bedroom
Jump.
and living room
Ah,
actually served
right.
as one, actually. And you were born while we lived there in that little house. Get your lap
Wow.
full, don't you? So then we moved from there over to
Turn around.
North City, over on what was that? Off of Natural Bridge, Palm Street.
Where'd you live when Karen was born?
We lived the same place.
Home?
We
So
lived
by the
in
airport.
we lived in the same. There's 2 houses. There was 2 4-family flats. Weren't
Yeah, they were flats.
there was a 4-family flat here and one here with a driveway between them. And when you were born, right after you were born, we moved to this side. And Mom got pregnant there. And now wait a minute, how'd that work? We had moved to somewhere from. after she
Karen was born when we lived on Palm Street. Then we moved, and we did not like where we were at. I mean,
Yeah. I don't
What
remember
was
what
we
it
Was
moved
that the
into?
place, how long did we live there? Because is that the place with the swing set behind us that had all
No,
those
no, no, that
chicken
was-
houses or whatever they were?
No, those were sheds, but that
Sheds?
was up by where I
but
worked.
anyway, we were so miserable.
In
I mean,
Baines,
where
where
we
that was.
moved to, we were there, what, a couple months? I
Yeah,
don't
we
remember
moved
it was.
around.
And we wanted out, so we went back. They happened to have a
An opening to
empty,
the other side of the alley, or driveway.
yeah, an empty apartment.
Yeah.
Only in the other building on Palm Street. So we
And
took it and
The
moved back
ironic
into
part
the
was we
same
were both on the
place.
second floor, remember?
Yeah.
Just across the driveway. But anyway, we moved from there again, and I don't remember where we went from there, do you? Oh, I was still working at Plum during all
All
that.
I remember on Palm Street is having this stroller to where one kid sat on the main part and I had, what, a booster on the back of it?
Yeah, I think so.
I remember Cheryl would sit, she was the biggest. I put her in the stroller and I put
We have a picture
Karen,
in that, don't we?
Karen sitting in the booster chair like. And it had bars and Karen would sit there holding on to them. And I would take walks from Palm Street to my cousin's house on 21st Street, which was not a short distance.
No, not at all.
But there I went trucking with my stroller and my 2 babies to go visit my cousin.
With Jeanette?
Yep,
Mhm.
She hasn't changed the sound. She still sounds the same.
yes, she does.
I told her that. I said,
How
boy,
old
you
was
bring
she
back
now?
memories.
71?
She's 8 years older than I am.
She's 76. Wow.
So were you a full-time mom this whole time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't start
And you know
working.
what's weird? Your mother remembers that. She asked me one time about that. She said and she couldn't remember. She was like, what, 18 months old?
I remember going to Jeanette's, the big fence around it, and we'd go up all these big
Well,
steps.
Karen asked me one time, Mom, what was I in? She says, I remember sitting in something and holding 2 bars, and she said, down in front of me, I think it was somebody's head.
Durr.
And I looked at her and I said, there's no way you can remember that. She said, but I do. So I told her what it had to be. And then one time when I went over to Jeanette's, it was hot summer, and Jeanette had one of these little pools back then. They were like, what, 2 foot high, square. And
I remember that.
Karen was in diapers, and she wasn't walking. Well, she was about walking. And she wanted to get in the pool. So I stood her in the pool, just to get her wet, and she twisted, she turned like she was going to, and I wasn't expecting that because I wasn't holding her really tight, because I figured if I held her real tight, she'll really fight me. And she turned, and somehow when she did, her feet went out from her, and she laid straight back into the bottom of that pool. Because you're like 2 foot tall, but still, and she just went straight back. Well, naturally, I grabbed at her and pulled her up. And that's another thing she asked me about. Mom, she says, I remember seeing you one time, and everything was, you were real wobbly like.
You were in the woo.
No, that had to be when she went under that water.
Yeah,
And-
being that
oh,
age,
and
she
she
wouldn't have
said-
to close her eyes.
And she said she remembers hands reaching. She remembers seeing me, but I was shaking, and she saw hands coming at her. She can't have a memory at that age.
I know.
Traumatic enough.
But those are 2 items that Karen remembers.
Wow. I remember back when I busted my lip. You missed that story. I busted my lip when I was 3. I have a good one here. Were you here when they said that? Tell the story.
No, you wasn't here.
Tell them the story.
Well, she was standing at the foot of a bed with one of those flick boards that's kind of sharp. Don't need on me. And I saw out of the corner of my eye, she looked like she turned to walk off, and she fell. And didn't think anything of it, except, I wasn't expecting what I found.
Sure.
Picked her up, she had blood on her mouth. Whoops, busted her mouth. Went in the bathroom, wiping her up. Her whole lip was just laid wide open, just like someone took a knife or.
And that's got some jags in it.
But anyway, we rushed her to the hospital and they sewed her up.
And I remember a big Band-Aid. This is what I remember dreaming about. And I asked her once, I keep dreaming of having this dream. I had a big Band-Aid on my lip. And I thought it was so cool. Because I had this big Band-Aid on my lip.
And we lived in the house you were just inquiring about, where they had the swing in the backyard and all that stuff.
That's where we lived?
Yeah.
We'd gone upstairs. We were on the 2nd floor.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Where was this at?
That was in Baden. It was in
Baden.
North St. Louis.
Okay.
And
I have a
worked-
list of every house we ever lived in.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
At that time, I was working on the freight dock for ABF Freight Company, Arkansas Best Freight Company, and I worked there for 5 years or so. And when I quit there, I went to TWA and worked there for 9 years. And yeah, that's where you remember the swings down in the
You're
backyard.
digging.
In fact, we got
Yeah.
pictures of you and Karen
Hands
both out
out
in the
of me.
backyard.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's where they played.
I remember those. I remember going into those. It's a shed? For some reason, I keep thinking it was a barn.
No, it's a shed.
Those were sheds? Because I remember they were so dark and they were spooky.
You know, I could
Storage
really.
sheds.
What are you going to do when you don't know what the future's going to bring? I had no idea we were going to get this modern technology we've got.
Well, naturally.
Right.
We had bought, and we didn't have any money, but we bought a video camera back then. One of
They
them.
had video cameras back then?
Yeah, they cost a fortune. And they were big and bulky.
Yeah.
I filmed you and Karen.
Silent film.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was. I filmed you guys playing on a swing and going up them steps. I carried,
No one.
we had to take the camera back.
Hello.
Jamie.
Put
All
that on
right.
pause. Cheryl, put it on pause,
Yeah.
quick.
Do you still have any of that?
Well, from laying around, being moved, it got scratched, and one time I tried to play it and you couldn't hardly, I mean, you could sort of hear her, but it was broken up like. I threw it away.
Just watch the
Couldn't that have been fixed nowadays?
Probably.
See, I didn't know this was all coming.
Sharon, why don't you turn that off for a minute? I gotta go.
Oh, you got the baby?
What's the camera set up?
Go ahead.
Let's go back to the story.
What story you want?
Well, we were what? Oh, I have a question. And that the home on Beacon, what was it called?
Oh, what? Oh, in Baden?
Baden. Is there a couple bedrooms in there? Oh dear. Was it hardwood floors?
Well, probably so, yeah.
Did we make popcorn one night, Nancy and Snow, we were over even playing cards or something? You were in the
Probably
room,
so, yeah. They used to come over quite often.
and you were yelling at us to go to bed, and we could take some popcorn in there, or we were
I don't know about that.
sneaking it in the bedroom.
Well, we always played cards.
Oh,
We
yeah.
Because Ray was there. I remember Raymond, me, and Karen in a room, and it was dark, and we had the door open,
There was only 3 rooms.
and we'd look in.
Had living room, bedroom, and kitchen.
Well, when
Well,
Ray,
now
Ray
wait
Allen
a
was
minute.
there, right?
It depends on whose house, because the way it was, we were with Aunts and Uncle Roy
we were
a lot.
home. I remember
Every
that.
weekend we switched. One weekend we would go to their house and would spend the night, but would play cards all night.
Just about.
And then the next weekend they came to our house,
Right.
and we rotated back and forth like that.
Right, so it was me, Karen, and Ray and Alan.
Yeah.
Well, Alan wasn't born yet. I
No,
don't think.
no.
Just the 3 of us for
Yes.
a few years, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was 3 of us, but I remember something about popcorn, hardwood floors, and the adults talking and laughing in the other room.
It could have been anywhere.
Oh, it was- yeah.
Because we,
And hardwood floors, though.
well, they all had hardwood floors
Oh,
back
yeah.
then.
Most of the old houses we lived in, yeah.
But
they had-
at one time, though, in the house that we lived in,
And
that
it was
you,
Christmas time.
Oh, hardwood floors.
Hmm?
When you were about 10 months old or a year
Mm-hmm.
on Palm Street,
oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's right.
we had hardwood
It
floors.
was about 1959.
That was before,
And when you waxed them, they shine.
yeah.
Uh-oh, what'd I do?
One day, I got down on my hands and knees and I cleaned those floors and I had them shining like glass.
Uh-huh,
He comes home from work.
uh-huh.
We eat. He decides he's going to play on the floor with you.
Okay.
When he got done, I had skid marks all over my newly polished floor.
His or mine?
Now, in that same area, I don't remember which apartment it was, whether it was the first or it must have been the second one. But we, across the driveway, you know, that we're talking about, I was trying to paint a floor lamp like that one. Only had an old base, and I was trying to paint it. You kept crawling over there, and you couldn't walk it, you were just crawling. You could sit up and all this good stuff. This is one.
Oh, yeah.
And you kept coming over wanting to get a hold of that. Naturally, you wanted to reach out and grab it. Well, it had paint on it. So I had a roll of tape laying there, so I just ripped off a piece of tape and gave it to you. And you could not get rid of that piece of tape. It's just like Three Stooges
I
you
remember
see in the
that.
movie. And I laughed like cried, and you were just screaming. You got
Oh,
so
you
mad.
were so
oh,
mad.
My God. You'd get it off your hands, and you'd get it on your feet. You couldn't get rid of it. And Mom comes running in there. What's the matter with that baby? I said, look at her. I'm just rolling in the floor laughing. You're just having a fit trying to get rid of that piece of tape.
And you know what? You don't do that to a mother's baby.
You were just simply having a fit. That was a
God, you
riot.
made fun of me?
No, it was just funny, period.
Yeah.
Because it's like give him a piece of tape and you couldn't get rid of it. You'd be swinging it. That's just what you were doing.
So is there
You'd
anything
pull
you would
off
like
one
to
the
know?
other.
Well, I was going to ask, and I'd like to get back to this progressive story we've been
Yeah.
getting.
Okay.
But I was going to ask, we were talking about your dad and how he came from, he was the second generation, his grandfather was straight
Yeah.
Slavic?
Slovak,
Slovakian.
yeah.
It was
My
Slovakian.
grandmother was Slovak, my grandfather was German.
Okay, so, and they came straight over from the old
Yes.
country. They were the first generation.
1903 for him and 1906 for her.
Bremen,
Your
New York,
mom's side.
Bremen, Germany.
No, I'm sorry. Grandpa Kier is 1904 And his wife, my grandma, was 1906.
June 22nd, 1906, exactly.
My Jadek came over in 1903.
Now,
a year-
Jardek is who?
Smanskys,
Jardek,
my mama's
okay.
parents.
Okay.
And Babka, we don't know when she came over. We know they got
I'm trying to
married in
find
St.
her,
Louis in
can't find her.
1908.
Okay, but she was directly from Poland.
Yes, and we have the
Okay.
towns and everything.
Okay.
We know exactly where they came
So
from.
both of your mom's parents were Polish, and they were both first generation Polish, or
She was a first generation American, yeah.
Okay.
And so was my father.
Okay. Both from Poland. Gotcha. So that's a pretty purebred line through.
Oh yeah, I'm
Folklore.
European.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if
Well,
you
sure.
stop and think about it, he's the United Nations.
Yeah, yeah,
His people have
United
been over
Kingdom.
here practically since the Mayflower.
Sure.
yeah.
To where I am strictly, I mean, I'm brand new over here, so my heritage hasn't been diluted like his.
Yours is what, third generation?
Mom's the
No,
second,
I'm the
third.
second generation.
She's the
born over
fourth.
here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's right, your dad was born over here, and then you.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, Lord.
So to where you have been diluted with all
Oh, yeah.
the ancestry,
You've been here many years.
generations of mixture, I'm more pure. I don't know how to put that in sense.
We
That's what I
know.
was-
You're a
that's what I was
native
wondering.
European. You're more of a native European than he's
Yes.
a Native American.
Yes.
I mean, we're all Native Americans. We were
Yes.
born here. but
Well, I
the
didn't
point
come
of
from
it
the
is-
Indians, though. I came from
Native
elsewhere.
American means you were born here. That's why they were
So-
called that.
So your parents, where did they come from? In
My
the
parents?
States, yeah.
As far as I know, they were born in Missouri,
Okay.
and I was born in Arkansas, actually, just
Grandpa-
across the line, state
Grandpa was
line
born
from
in Kentucky.
Missouri, down in Boot Hill.
Uh-huh.
And that's... I
You were
don't
born in
know.
Corning, Dad. Arkansas.
That's what he said.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wake up, Cheryl.
Good morning.
I
Senior
don't
moment.
know.
Excuse me.
As far as I know, Mom and Dad were both born in Missouri,
Okay.
down south.
Canada.
Now, their parents, I'm not sure, she's traced them back through the years and the
Grandpa
genealogy
Leroy
stuff.
was born in Paducah, Kentucky.
I don't have a clue.
Well,
Yeah, I was
did
born
you
in
know your
Clark.
grandparents?
Yes,
You did.
yes, I
They,
did.
they all lived around here in Missouri. While you
Yeah,
were
they all lived down south,
Okay.
southeast Missouri.
Little Boot Hill.
My dad's parents both lived, and I knew both of them, and I knew both of my mother's parents.
Okay.
Once my mother's original mother died, then he remarried like 3 times after that.
Wow.
And he lived to be, what, 86, somewhere around there. All my
He died right
was a
before
little
I was born,
guy.
didn't he?
Uh,
Isn't he the one that died? I
No,
know
he
one
was
of,
60s.
one of somebody, maybe it was your dad. I
yeah, he
think-
died in 81.
Yeah.
Okay, he
was
died right after I was
here.
born.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what it was. That's what it was. Okay.
Because both my grandparents passed away. Well, yeah, my grandparents passed away back in the, what, 70s? 60s, 70s?
Yeah.
60s.
Yeah.
Because I remember your mom. Maybe I don't.
No.
No, she died.
Grandma
My
Hattie
mother
died in
died
61.
in 60.
61.
Oh,
Yeah.
who's the Semansky that I came out and visited when I was out here before? There was a Semansky that I came out and visited, wasn't there?
Grandma Ann is Grandpa's second
Maybe.
wife.
Oh, Grandma Ann.
Karen
is
did
that who
take
it
you.
was?
Yeah, your mother did take you over.
Oh, okay.
His second
That's
wife
my
was
father's
named
second
Ann,
wife. My mother
yeah.
died in
that's-
60.
She was like
Okay.
grandma to us. We were raised that she
Okay.
Yeah.
was our
Did you get along well
grandmother.
with her?
No,
You didn't.
no. She was the evil stepmother,
I see.
and I was the no good
I
stepdaughter.
see. Okay. Okay.
Of course, I've never figured out where that came from.
Uh-huh.
For some reason, I don't know why, she never took to me.
Huh.
And I'm a good person. That's what got me.
Both
Anyway.
were, so there you
But
go.
that's okay, but that makes more sense to me now.
Okay.
And then I have met both of your parents, right? I did.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
came
we
out
have
to
a
Utah.
picture.
They came out to Utah once.
Four
We have-
generations.
Right.
You're in the
And
grandpa's
we have a
right.
picture with you, don't we?
Yeah.
4th generation?
Now,
Yeah,
were they there
four
at
generations.
Christmas?
No,
That's
it was,
Adam, the fourth
no,
generation.
it's a 4 generation. Well, that was
I
the
have-
boys.
I
More
remember-
boys.
There's
But
yes,
there's with Kim,
there's
Karen,
one in front
Dad,
of
and
the
Grandpa.
fireplace in our house
In
in
Utah.
Dallas
Yes.
Oh,
that has me,
Yeah.
my dad, you.
No,
and,
Karen,
Or no, me
your
and
mother.
mom. That's right. Me and
Yeah.
mom, you and
Grandpa.
Grandpa Moore,
That's
great
right,
Grandpa Moore.
okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Uh-huh.
So
I
you
did.
and Adam both are, we have pictures of
All
both
four
of
of
you
us.
in 4th
So were they
generation.
there? I think I remember Grandma Moore, great Grandma Moore,
Uh-huh.
being at Christmas.
Grandma
But was
Moore.
Grandpa there too? And when we were there in '93.
Well, 93,
Oh, yeah, they
Grandpa
were
died in
there.
91.
Okay,
So
the
just
grandma
Grandma.
was there, right?
Yes.
I think I remember that.
Yeah,
So, okay.
Grandma
fact,
Vicky.
she just passed, what, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5
It
years
was
ago.
202.
5 years ago.
Wow. See, I can't remember that.
I remember
for
because
some
I just
reason.
started working at the statue January 2002, and then in May I came back here in 2002. So
And
5 months out. 4 months out.
Evidently, I guess me not being able to remember when Mom died is because she was in Florida.
Right.
She wasn't here, so
Mhm.
I can't keep up with it. But
She
I
was
know for a
82.
fact that Dad died the 8th of June, 1990.
I got to tell you about his grandpa Neil,
91.
his mother's father.
Mhm.
Yeah.
91.
Yeah, you're
The
right.
man stood about
Ray.
5'4",
Yeah. Poppy.
very, they called him Poppy. He was a very slight-built man, a
Oh.
petite man, totally bald, right here. That is a Neely trait,
Okay.
is that head right there. Some of them don't even have as much hair.
At 19, my cousins were all bald.
Oh, really?
And,
Fortunately,
Ah, Neely cousins.
I didn't really get bald until I was, what, in my 50s?
yeah.
Totally bald, anyway. Or
But
across the top.
his grandmother, she was about 2 inches or 3 inches taller.
Grandma Mary Ellen?
Yeah. And she
Now, that was a
was
sweetheart.
she
when
was
I
a
remember.
stout woman,
Now, is she the one I met or the other one?
And,
Grandma
She
Warren.
died when I was 7 years
totally infatuated with her husband.
Aww. They're so
She,
cute together, though.
Well,
The pictures I
from
have.
what I heard when Grandma Neely saw him, first time she saw
Yeah.
Bobby, they were both young, and she told someone
Well, we
She
got
was gonna
pictures of
marry
him. He was a good-looking guy.
he was.
He was.
It's amazing what happens to people as they age.
I'll just send you all the pictures
Yeah.
so you can put them on something for
Yeah.
everybody.
I really ought to just set up my whole thing so I can just do all this.
Hey, it
at
could be
once.
your genealogy.
Should I
project.
tell him?
They had 14 kids.
Daniel.
My mother's-
14
my mother's
kids.
Yes.
family.
Wow.
14 of them.
I'm sorry?
This will be your genealogy project.
Oh, yeah. then I won't ever have to do anything again on it,
There
right?
you go. I mean it.
I paid my dues.
You did
My
it.
dad
Oh,
came from
don't say that too
family
loud. What?
Because Dad came from a family of 8.
Yeah.
That's so your side came from big families.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my family was very sparse because if you stop and think, I only had the 2 grandparents that
Right.
came over, and each one only had 4 children.
That lived.
Well, I mean though.
Yeah.
So, and each child of those 4 only had like 2 kids.
Well, you only had a brother or a sister?
Brother.
You had a brother.
Well,
And
I'm sorry.
well,
but
but you
I-
got 4
You had a
nieces. You have 2 nephews
The
and 2
record
nieces
shows that
from
you had a
him.
brother, yes.
the record shows my parents' children. A
Okay.
male born in 35, and then they had me in 39.
Okay. So what? What are you saying by that? I guess
They
I
weren't
understand.
close. There you go.
I
Oh.
don't
In a simple
remember
way.
him being around much. It's
Yeah.
probably because he was in school.
Okay.
No, he's 4 years older than I was.
Mhm.
And I remember when he was around, he used to beat on me.
Sure.
And I didn't even have to do anything.
Mhm.
And I didn't really know who he was. I always called or thought about him, my mind, he was the boy. And I didn't like the boy. He was mean. And he used to break whatever toy I had, he would destroy it. I
He
understand
invaded
now.
your space and you invaded his
Well,
space.
I can understand now, if you stop and think, for 4 years of his life, he was top attraction, especially with Mama.
Mom's boy.
I came along and I took away his limelight. I figured he didn't like me and wanted to get rid of me. And in fact, one of my aunts one time, my Aunt Adele, she came in to visit Mama, and she come in to see me, and she said Eddie had a pillow over my face. So
So
I'm thinking his jealousy must have been very high.
Yeah.
Very.
This was his kids. Now, when did he pass away?
80 and my dad in 81.
Okay. So he passed away at 80, but you never really were close to him
She
during
was
the...
up
No,
to
he
you,
was-
Charles.
8th he died. 1980.
Okay, my side of the family, there's never really a closeness.
Sure.
And I used to resent it. I grew up resenting a lot, but I didn't understand. If you stop and think, the way things were in Europe, people didn't get close because you could have someone dead the next day. Babies were dying left and right, and I even read this in a book, and it made sense. The lifespan of a child, the mortality rate was very high. Wait a
Sorry, go
minute.
ahead. I better remember this thought.
Okay. When women had children, it's like my grandma Kier. Out of 10 children, 4 survived.
Wow.
Now you stop and think how a mother is with the infant. I mean, they're bonded very close. This is your baby. I mean, its death is a trauma. So I was reading that over in Europe, or all these countries where the babies, were dying like flies, women didn't want to get close to their babies because they knew they'd lose them. So they fed them and kept, them dry. But other than that, any kind of connection, they didn't. Now, there was a thing that if your baby lived to be 2, the chances of it growing up were very good. Well, these children were kind of at arm's length till they were 2. Then, oh, my baby, you're going to, well, a lot happens between them 2 years when a child is not, doesn't get that nurturing.
They develop between 1 and 3 years.
So therefore, these children grow up kind of off,
Yeah.
from people.
Standoffish.
This is one reason why there is so much of that in other countries.
20 minutes. Yeah.
So my family wasn't the affectionate, nurturing type.
Okay.
Now, once you were grown, it was a whole different story.
Mhm.
But they still weren't the affectionate type. So that's one reason why I am kind of backwards with certain things.
Sure.
I'm just not used to it. For a long time, I even wondered, do I actually even know what love is?
Because you wanted it so much.
I've had my doubts
Yeah.
because I wasn't exposed to all that. I wasn't exposed to nurturing, to cuddling, to...
Sure.
So I've questioned a lot of things about myself. I've even asked people, and it sounds weird, I have no idea what sibling
Well,
affection is. I mean, our closeness. I have no idea. To me, if you fight with somebody, that means you don't like them. Oh my word, for my children not to like each other? That's why I guess her and Karen could, if I caught them fighting, I was totally berserk. Because in my opinion, oh my God, they didn't like each other. Oh, they've got to like each other? But I didn't know that this kind of stuff happened with siblings. Now, he comes from siblings, so he knew all about it. Here's greedy me. I don't know anything about, siblings, parent connections. I didn't know anything. So sometimes it's kind of hard for me to, I don't know how to put it.
Express yourself.
Sure.
Yes.
Or even just get close, and it makes a lot of sense. Get close to individuals on a
For
personal
instance, you boys,
level. Sure.
I don't know exactly how you feel about life, but sometimes I see me in you guys.
There's a lot of it. I'll be honest with you. It's a very similar situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I understand it, and then I think, I have to admit something. Turn that off. But Karen
You
knows
do
it.
it.
Karen knows it. I told her.
I was just thinking,
She married Frank Kier.
say her name again, it wasn't on.
Gabriella Ivani Kier.
Gabrielle.
Well,
Yeah,
Gabrielle
Gabrielle.
Ivani was her maiden name, Ivani.
Okay.
Ivy.
And she was born in Slovakia.
Hungary.
Tata always said my mother was a Slovak.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted Trench.
Okay.
Hungary at the time.
Anyway, her father died when she was, quote, a kid. Now, I cannot figure the age bracket for that.
Mm-hmm.
When are you a, quote, kid? Anyway, she had a stepfather. Now, over in Europe, they do not drink water,
Mm-hmm.
okay? They usually drink liquor, beer, okay?
Okay.
Apparently her stepfather was a boozer.
That's Joseph
Somewhere-
Hurt, right?
Huh?
Joseph Hurt?
Joseph Hurt was her second husband. And I don't know where my grandfather saw her, but he come from poor, I guess, dirt farmers. I'm not for sure over there in Hungary.
Returned to Czechoslovakia later.
Anyway, somewhere along the line he saw her. And he wanted to marry her, and he went to her parents, and her mother wanted no part of him. He was no way good enough for her. No way. I don't know why he insisted he wanted to marry her, so. Okay, before I finish that,
Yeah.
here's a story I've always heard. My grandmother had to marry my grandpa. Now, in today's world, that doesn't sound good.
But they've never met.
I finally found out the true story.
What? I don't know the story, do I?
Yes, I told you.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
Ma,
Go ahead.
What?
you wanna hold up for a second?
Okay, what are we doing?
What are we gonna do with this food?
Put it in the fridge?
Okay, come here, Ma.
All right. So that's your drink.
Okay, so Frank here wanted to marry her, and the mother said no.
Yeah.
Well, her stepfather apparently was a drunk.
Right.
Frank here, he had to be pretty good up here.
Mm.
He took stepdad out, got him loaded to the gills,
Oh, I heard that.
and told him, I mean, he planned this. If you let me marry her, and you know, over there, the man's got the say so, not the female. If you let me marry her, I will I will get you 2 kegs of liquor.
Sorry.
He had a paper for him to sign and everything. My grandmother was sold for
Oh.
2 kegs of liquor.
That's a great story.
That is the reason why I always heard
He was a German, remember?
my grandmother
Even when he was
had
born.
to marry my grandfather. Because I used to wonder why. I mean, she was not no floozy,
Yeah.
you know? And when I heard that, I was so
Yeah, but didn't
irate.
he court? Didn't he have to go through the valleys and court her? Because they lived in 2 separate valleys.
No. He didn't because her family wanted nothing to do with him.
Huh.
Right. But after the papers were signed.
After those papers were signed and he more or less sold his stepdaughter to Frank here,
Right.
she had to go with him.
Right.
He had a document. Then, when he came to America in 1904, well, from the time they married in 1899
October 31st.
till he came to America in 1903, she had lost 4 babies.
Wow.
Maria was the first.
Then she was pregnant again with my Aunt Pauline. Well, he left for America. So she moved in with her mother and stepfather. And here she is with child.
Naturally, did you give her both
He
pictures?
went to send for her to come to America.
Oh, it's in the back.
Her mother did
Can we
not.
get her one back?
Really?
She tried to keep her there in Europe.
What?
He wrote to the court
What do you want?
that this was his wife,
You want this?
and the court
Huh?
made her parents send her to America.
I
Wow.
thought she was an aunt.
Well, yeah, she
Aunt
was.
Pauline?
Speak.
Yeah.
And
Aunt
Joseph
Pauline-
was dead, died after before they went
Yes.
over there.
That's what.
Because her mother was already in with her at the time. When she got married,
Well, her mother
was
did-
in
Okay,
Budapest.
her mother didn't want her to come. She did not want to let her come to America.
Okay.
And my grandpa got a court order.
Oh, I didn't know that one. She was in Austria because that's where Aunt Pauline was born.
Yes, and I think I have found the
They-
town. I found the town.
It was on her birth certificate.
Can you find it on a map the way it's written? Well, I did.
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. There's
Anyway,
We're getting excited or what?
We're getting excited.
okay, anyway, they came to Missouri, the Boot Hill, down in Carter
They
County,
came through
Missouri.
Ellis Island, excuse us.
Oh, yes.
Ellis
Came through
Island,
Ellis
where
Island.
I now work, their great-granddaughter, 100 years almost to the day. Okay, proceed.
But anyway, they had 4 children down in Carter County. They had my Aunt Pauline, well, she was born in Europe, in Vienna. Then they had my Aunt Frances, then my father, and then my Aunt Anna. Then they had 2 more boys. Both of those boys died in infancy.
Johnny and Andrew.
And I have often wondered, why did they die? And even the other 4 survived. Well, we found out from some death certificates that are online.
Cool.
One died of measles. The first one died of measles, and the second one was not fully developed, apparently premature. So I'm wondering if she had measles or something that she got from the first one.
Maybe. Interesting.
That's cool.
But anyway, they eventually moved up to St. Louis. And now, I never knew my father's parents.
Okay.
I only grew up knowing my babka and my jadek, the Semanskis. And there was never a time they were ever new to me. So apparently I'd been going down there since infancy. Well, I never thought about I didn't even know I had a father.
You mean a grandfather?
No,
Father had a-
I
oh,
didn't know I
grandpa
had a
died.
father, let alone didn't
Yeah.
have parents.
He was, yeah.
I don't remember a man being in the house. He went to war. He was in the Second World War. And I don't remember a man being in the house before that. But one day I heard little girls at school talking about their daddies. And I went home and I asked my mother, I said, do I have a daddy? And she said, well, of course you do. Where is he? She said, he's in the war. I don't know what a war is. What's a war? And she said he would come home when the war was over. Okay. Well, one day it was cold out, it was winter time, and Mama is sitting on a chair next to her bed and she's sewing buttons on a shirt. I am sitting on the bed watching her, and the boy is standing at the head of the bed. He's standing up on this bed. I guess we were both bored just watching Mama sew, I guess. Anyway, she says, oh, she said, your daddy's coming home. I got so excited, I start jumping on that bed and just jumping, and the boy started choking. He had a button in his mouth.
Oh my
And when I started bouncing, it got caught. Well, after him gulping and all this and that, finally he swallowed it. So Mom said, don't worry about it, it'll come out the other end. I could not wait for my, quote, daddy to come home. I had a daddy. I don't remember ever having one before. And one day I walked in the front door from school. I was about 7 or 8.
That's
It was winter, February or March.
What year?
What year?
44?
45.
Yeah.
When did the war end? Second World War.
45.
So 45.
And I walked in the front door. We just lived in a flat, 3 rooms going straight through.
So you were 6. About 6 years old.
And Mama was in the living room. I don't know, maybe she was waiting for me to come in. And she said, your daddy's here. Oh, such an elation you'll never know. I walked in the bedroom. We had a coal-burning stove. And standing there, and you know what? These scenes do happen. There's someone, he had a big coat on. There was army coats, and he's standing there like this in front of that stove. Never forget this. It's like, this is, when I talk about this, it's like it happened yesterday.
That's okay.
I walked up and I did the scenario. And I went clear up to the top. And there's this face looking down at me. And I thought, that's my daddy. Oh, I was in my glory. I had a daddy. Daddies did things for you. Daddies fixed your toys when they were broke. They got you stuff. They gave you pony rides. This is what I used to hear other kids talking about. Guess what? That wasn't what my daddy was. And my father had no idea what to do with the child.
Especially a girl.
He didn't have an inkling of what to do with the child. But he come from a very strict background. He's very strict. You walk this narrow line, and as long as you stayed on that line, everything was great. You get off that line just a hair, and you get the crap beat out of you. Well, that's what I found out. And for some reason, it was like a silent, this is what I don't understand about me and my dad. From the time I saw him standing there, there was like a silent thing between us. You don't bother me, and I don't bother you, and we'll get along just great. It was a, I don't know, it was just weird. And I followed him around like a puppy dog. Needless to say, coming home from the war, a lot of things broke. Lamps didn't work anymore. And he went around fixing everything, and I was a puppy dog. I followed him, quiet as a mouse. I never made a sound. Didn't ask any questions. For some reason, I knew that as long as I was quiet and didn't stir anything, that he might like me. And that was my relationship with my father, a quiet distance. But the man was so intelligent, it was scary.
That's a fact.
I love to watch.
He worked on perpetual motion for years.
Oh yeah,
On
he
what?
tried. He came
Perpetual
that
motion,
close.
something that could turn under its own power
Now,
without any
You
accident.
gotta hear
Really?
this.
Accident or assist.
Oh yeah.
Or assist.
Did he get anything going?
No.
No. He
He
come
tried.
that close to it.
He tried chains, ball bearings, gears, you name
Wow.
it. Just all kinds of stuff.
Nope.
Maybe Isaac's our next, our other genius. Does he know it?
Okay. Well now, in this
Tell
modern
you what,
world,
this
and
boy and
what
his
you
brother are pretty close.
no, I'm going to tell you the story my grandma used to tell her kids.
For this man, I'm
And
sorry to-
you take these words she used and translate it into a modern scenario of a person, a profile. Her brother was so smart. He knew everything. He could solve anything. He could take a book, open it up, read it, close it, and recite it word for word. Well, right there's a photogenic memory. I mean, when you can read something, then close it up and recite it word for word. But he knew everything. There was nothing he didn't know about.
Who was this again?
Matthias. Grandma James.
My grandma's brother that she never used a name except my brother. And I think we found the name Matthias.
Found the genealogy on it.
Because she did give birth to a Matthias. We found a birth record. And anyway, he could solve anything, and he knew everything. And he got so bored that he tried to solve the greatest mystery of all.